kind of like Brian was mentioning earlier too, it really helps you, realize your vision of things and see these things and then start to build on them very quickly. Kind of jump starts you in a lot of ways.
Yeah, both the production side and the creative, right? The fact that you can just immediately see what's going on instead of having to wait for a couple days to render or
Yeah, and I mean, also it gives you besides just the creative elements, it gives you a good idea of scope, tone. Some of the things that you'll need to be. If you're trying to make a movie, some of the things you may have to consider when you're doing that, or if you're making a music video or something else like that. It just gives you a lot of information very early on, and it's for me, it's very easy to jump in the engine and develop stuff like that and just start to get the idea of what we're doing with something.
Yeah,
So,
getting past that like just blank sheet of paper sort of problem, getting things
yes,
up.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
that's just the
exactly.
beginning of the pipeline when you're visualizing the movie. Then you go and produce it. A lot of these productions are now using Unreal Engine for real-time rendering of backgrounds. So as the director is looking through the camera, they're filming an actor in front of, instead of a green screen, an LED panel displaying exactly what's happening in the movie set around them. And actors can look around the set and see exactly the environment they're in. And so it gets kind of back to the magical movie production era before computer graphics were introduced at all, in which a large part of the magic of a movie comes from improvisation of the set, on the director looking through the camera and finding a shot that wasn't necessarily planned out, and and making the magic that way. And then at the very end of that process, you have digital assets for this entire production, which you know open it up to really easily applying those same meshes and textures and characters in games, or in any sort of experience that you might want that's interactive or digital. And Fortnite has had some crossover events where you have Star Wars characters pop in, or Marvel characters, or John Wick. But the next phase of this is a seamless pipeline from movies and television shows and other creative works into games without delay and with mass community participation.
Yeah, it's really cool. And to talk a little bit about the immersion too, and you mentioned this, Tim, is that as an actor or even as a director, you can jump in to. So you make this in virtual environment. In some cases, you make your set, or you make the thing that you're trying to shoot, and you can put on a VR headset, or you can use an augmented reality device, or an AR headset, and you can look around, and so you can give direction in a virtual space, either on the stage that you're capturing the data in, or you can do it remotely as well. And so that's a really powerful tool. And then also from an acting perspective, it's really cool to actually be in the environment that you're going to be acting in. And in some cases, you can see your own avatar, or if you have props, you can see those as well. And from having worked with a few actors, it's really exciting to see them get into the virtual space and start to understand who their character is. Either they can see it in a headset, or they can see it on a screen of some type. But it really starts to help you get into character. And so, interestingly enough, that process makes a lot of acting emergent, and we get a lot of really creative, great stuff out of being those characters, being in that world that we didn't ever have planned, which is just kind of a lot of fun to watch happen.
Yeah, and the same is true for those LED wall stages. I got the privilege to see a couple of them firsthand, and it's pretty incredible just seeing standing in those volumes,
Yeah.
in those backdrops. There could be points there where it even confuses your own brain of where are you? But there was I just had when I was standing at one of them, I just needed to take this selfie shot. You have to see this, and that selfie shot just looks like I'm in another place.
Yeah, you get the light coming off the screen,
Yeah.
so it automatically grounds you in the environment, which is cool.
do you get the sense of presence that you can when you're using a virtual reality device?
Not quite, because I mean they don't completely surround you. They go on in everything they don't cover the side that the camera has, so they're not a complete volume going in all directions. And you don't get there's no sort of stereoscopy, so it doesn't look 3D to you. So it doesn't have quite the same presence, but the key thing is that it's lighting everything properly. That's the thing that the camera really wants to pick up. But it's certainly better than standing in front of a green screen, because that doesn't look like anything at all.
Yeah, the
So
lighting.
you get the full presence of getting, everything moves and parallaxes, and you can see everything in 3D. But it does feel like you're there. And the nice thing is that if you would be acting against another actor, they're going to actually be there, as opposed to seeing them through VR headset. And you can hold props, and all that stuff is going to be physical to you. So I think it's a major step up from the. I mean, I'm not an actor, but standing on those stages, that's what it felt like to me.
And usually there's also an element too in the foreground with the actor that can be, you know, physical traditional set, and then you have the digital background. So it is pretty, you know, it is pretty cool to see all that, you know, come together.
Well, it just makes the whole process more collaborative too, right? Everybody's talking about the experience and the shots and the takes in the moment versus having to pass it through different parts of the pipeline. And
yeah, that gets really interesting too with multi-user and being able to have, in some cases, you're all interacting in the same space. And you can do that there, or you can do it remotely. And that's really powerful as well, that, you know, instead of saying, hey, can we move this light a little bit over there, and somebody having to do that, you can literally in some cases, reach out and grab a light in a virtual space, and then you can move it, and it will, you know, light in the virtual space and or in the real world. And that's a very cool, you know, that lets people collaborate very easily.
This LED screen technology that we're talking about, it was popularized this year by, this was actually the large commercial use of in-camera VFX in the LED volumes, and it has inspired about 100. And so this is sort of a new revolution, new movement, and hopefully, you know, I think all of the sort of indie creators out there are hoping that the technology will, you know, eventually get a little bit cheaper to the point where you can rent a stage, you know, to do your shots for a couple of days and just make it more accessible. I'm very excited to see that.
I've seen tons of people even starting to use like their monitors, right? They have a little monitor up and they've set up little action figures, and they're starting to use this scene just even on a very small scale. So it transverses a lot of that.
Yeah, you can use, you know, off-the-shelf available tracking technology like SteamVR to sort of simulate that camera tracking, and so you can actually do a lot.
New ideas, so you get it's amazing where you can get to with some of that, which is cool.
Yeah. And we are really excited to see what the team comes up with in the future. Now, Grayson, you did mention we had talked a little bit about sort of the different use cases for virtual production, and I wanted to go ahead and show something that Weta Digital put together using Unreal Engine. Seth, if you don't mind playing that video for us, please. Now, for those of you unaware, that entire short was created entirely inside Unreal Engine, which is quite the astonishment, using some of our new fur and hair technology alongside Control Rig, which was used to animate the characters. Yeah, big ups to Weta Digital and everyone at Epic who helped make this a reality. On that note of sort of, you know, creating virtual production content, or, you know, linear media as well as interactive, we also this year released something called the LiveLink Face app, which allows you to use an iPhone to capture facial animation technology, and you can either capture that for playback later or use it directly in real time in the engine. We actually did see a really fun and interesting quick thing that happened. Oh, I should mention the complete demo project, Meerkat, is available on the marketplace for you to download. for use with Unreal Engine 426. Go check it out. It's super cool. That's
Yeah.
one of our evangelists. Yeah, go ahead, Amanda.
And I was just saying, we've seen so many cool community creations. Like some people have started, you've seen the Meerkat or the video Meerkat from the Meerkat's perspective. So he's like running and hiding from the eagle, or what you were about to mention. One of our evangelists actually made the Meerkat into a little talk show. So you see him sitting there behind the desk. He's got a little screen, so he's hosting a show. And yeah, that was actually using LiveLink Face App, which is, it's really cool to see the various ways these technologies can kind of come together to make even more unique setups.
Yeah, the immediacy of that is really cool too. In terms of, in the past, long time ago, we used to have to, we have to wait to get the spatial stuff on a character. But now, just seeing it immediately, you get a great read. You can get an idea of emotions, and you can change direction if you need to. But it's a very powerful tool for seeing things right up front, which is cool.
If you're excited about this technology, we're going to go ahead and link some docs in chat for y'all. You can go ahead and it's all available right now. Make sure to pop that out. Let's see. There's also been the use case of virtual production inside Fortnite. Does any of you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure, I can talk a little bit about that. I think that we use virtual production almost daily now for parts of Fortnite, whether we're developing events or we're developing cinematics. And we've got a process down that we can jump out to our mocap stage, but do it remotely, virtually. So we all join kind of the same way we're joining through Zoom, and we can also connect through the engine, and we can see the virtual space together, and we can make changes to that space, and we can work collaboratively. And so we do this, like I said, we do that pretty often, and I find it to be really helpful in developing ideas quickly. And sometimes, traditionally you'll use mocap, or a lot of times you'll use mocap to create a final product. But a lot of times what we'll do is just explore ideas, and kind of like we were talking about earlier, where we can have an actor become an avatar, and you can see their facial, their face moving. And so we may come into in a Fortnite sketch or a cinematic with a certain idea, and that can change very quickly based on we see something that we like a lot more and a lot better. And so overall, the virtual production tools that we have at the studio allow us to work much more quickly and to be more creative than we've ever been able to do in the past. And I think that we're always developing that technology more for our own teams internally, but also working with outside partners to basically to learn a lot of different parts of things that they're doing, and we want to help them and they want to help us, because it's a bit of a collaborative effort on that stuff. So yeah.
Unreal Build virtual production, we actually got to see a few ways different people were using virtual production in their own projects, whether it's from the award-winning director Robert Zemeckis, or how creative director Andrew Jones was using it in The Mandalorian, to a number of other creators that are using these pipelines. So if you haven't seen it, we definitely recommend go watch those videos. We have them all on YouTube, and it's how everybody's using it in their own unique way, elevating their pipelines.
Yourself, make sure that you go ahead and check out the virtual production primer that we released. All right, I think it's time to move on. Goes without saying that actually launched, the initial one was launched over 2 years ago, but last year at GDC 2019, we announced a new version of Epic Mega Grants, which is a $100 million fund that exists for different creators around the world. It launched in 2019, and we have at time of today, we have almost handed out nearly 1,000 talented teams have received grants from the Epic Mega Grant Fund. Tim, would you like to comment a little bit about it?
Oh, sure. This is just a way of helping developers who have made some progress but need a boost. With funding. Often funding makes the difference between being able to build and expand a team, or get marketing assistance for a game launch, or you feel some critical need, or just kind of going on without really having a chance to succeed. And so this has been the biggest year for Epic Mega Grants by far, with a much larger dollar amount and a number of grants issued this year than in any past year. I think this was an interesting time, because Unreal Engine usage has exploded, both in game development and in all of these other industries. and usage has expanded in academia. So we've been funding a lot of academic projects, of all different sorts. Some at the PhD level and some at the introductory level. This will continue, and it's a great way for Epic to reinvest back into the community. And there's a really big team within Epic supporting it. But there's a dedicated team to Magna Grants as a program, but then a lot of people at Epic who are specialized in any one area will be reviewing individual grant applications, given their expertise, and considering each one. And it's a very rigorous process. We go through a huge number of applications and really make sure that everybody receives a fair decision.
Yeah, make sure you apply. We want to see as many of you as possible sending in and seeing what you're working on. There's nothing that is, don't feel like it should be a pressure. We want to see your applications. We want to see what you're working on, and we will be happy to review all of them.
Yeah, so we've actually supported a lot of open source projects, even Blender or other game engines like Godot. I was actually curious why you feel it's so important for Epic to invest in these open source technologies, even beyond sort of our own space and our own tools.
Well, the whole industry relies not just on like one piece of software, but an entire ecosystem of components. In a lot of areas, some of the leading work in the industry is open source. With some of the subdivision surface work that's been done recently, the leading library is open source entirely. There's now a world-class polygon modeling tool called Blender, which is increasingly used it's been used by indies for a long time, but pros are increasingly adopting it too because it's trying to make faster progress than 3D Studio Max and Maya. So everywhere we can help, that's just something we're eager to assist with. Even Godot, the open source 3D engine that I guess you could say it's a competitor to Unreal, but it's a permissively licensed engine with an incredible set of capabilities. We're really happy to grant them a major mega grant, which will provide a significant amount of funding. And I think there will be many, many more in all aspects of the open source community that is in any way related to the 3D content or digital ecosystems area.
Which will ultimately lead to better games, better movies, better projects, better everything, right? And so it's very exciting to see. I do want to talk a little bit about the Unreal Marketplace. For those of you who are unaware, it exists in the Epic Games Launcher. It is a place for creators to sell their content as well as for Epic to provide a lot of content for free. This year, as well as previous year, we released numerous amount of free assets every month, as well as perpetual free assets. And now to let you know, you're available to use these for free inside your games, inside your movies, inside your shorts, novels, whatever it is you want to use Unreal Engine to create. Amanda, do you want to mention some of the things we did this year?
Yeah, sure. So in addition to the 5 monthly packs and the permanent free content, we have over 80 permanently free items as part of our permanently free content initiative. We've also released an automotive, bridge, and beach scene. We also have some really cool community created packs. There was a city park and a factory environment collection that are absolutely beautiful and have loads and loads of pieces and parts that you should feel free to pick apart, add them to your game, modify them. And we kicked off the Marketplace collection. So joining the ranks of Paragon and Infinity Blade, we've added What Remains of Edith Finch as assets into our marketplace. So you can actually pull things from the game, add them to your own projects, and we're planning on adding even more new exciting content in 2021. But we just always want to remind people that these assets are here for you to use, and you shouldn't be afraid of, somebody has that book in their game, so you can't use it. Like, you can modify them, you can prototype with them, you can tear them apart and learn from them, and update them so they fit in the style of your game. or project or scenes, and nobody's going to notice that it's like, oh, I've seen that stack of books before, I've seen that rock. Like, they're not thinking about your game and like picking it apart, or if they are, like, who cares? The point is that you've been able to more easily and rapidly build the experience you're going for, and so shouldn't be afraid to use them. And we're really excited to be able to continue offering these kinds of assets to the community at large.
And libraries of content are really foundational to be able to get more rapid development of games. Like the major creative aspects of creating a game experience is not about how one particular little rock or book or something looks. It's about the overall experience. That's what a designer is really going to be looking for.
Grayson, you had a good anecdote of what you used the marketplace for.
Yeah, I love it. So I went onto the marketplace and we're designing a garden in our backyard. And I was like, man, we could use basically virtual production, same kind of techniques and stuff to design our garden. And so that's what I did. I went and wrangled up a bunch of assets, probably spent too much doing that, but it was a lot of fun. And we built out a garden in a virtual space, and it became the plan for our garden. And one of the cool things is I was able to jump in there in a virtual reality headset and look at this garden, and we were able to measure it out to the foot for everything, or to the meter, to everything. So it was kind of cool using marketplace assets.
Never know how they're going to come in handy.
You never know. It's a kind of interesting project.
Love it.
Moving on, of course, they're all available on the marketplace right now. You can go to unrealengine.com to download the launcher and access all of them. And if you are here and you're interested and excited about getting started with game development using Unreal Engine, it is available for you right now. There is over 160 hours of content on Unreal Online Learning that you can go and access to get everywhere from the basics into more advanced topic in terms of lighting and editing, placement, code, etc. It's all there at Unreal Online Learning. Better check it out. This year, we also did our first bespoke virtual event, Unreal Fest Online 2020. What came out of that was over 40 videos that are now available on YouTube with topics ranging everything from virtual production to games development, architecture, and enterprise. We had over 50,000 people registered for the event. It was a great time. Do you all have any cool anecdotes to share from the event itself?
I mean, it was just exciting to see cross-industry folks coming in and getting in the same space and learning different lessons. All the sessions are really great, and it was a great way to kind of show off some of our other technology too. So there was an introduction to Twinmotion. So if you're not familiar with it, it's one of the other products here as part of the Epic ecosystem, and super easy to use UE-based application that helps with visualization, AEC, great for quickly iterating and building scenes. So it's Unreal Fest became sort of this, while it's Unreal Fest, it was a way for folks to come cross industry, cross tool sets, cross all these things, and enjoy all the parts of our ecosystem. So
a cool video in there for the virtual production, working remotely, which is really, really great. There's some good information too. And it covers a really wide range of things that you can do with virtual production. So maybe worth checking out.
Yeah, this whole COVID lockdown situation has really shifted those industries to need to work in a more virtual manner. So it was interesting to hear from different voices out there in the industry of like how they're dealing with this 2020 situation that has stuck many of us either away from the office, away from their workplace, in homes, and how can people continue to work? Well, so much of it is happening virtually now. And tools like this are enabling that to happen in a way that like either wasn't really the traditional way of working or is now just like a core requirement.
Among that, I do want to mention and plug the fact that we have also been doing all of our live streams from home throughout the pandemic. And so if you are interested in seeing some of how some of our partners and teams at Epic have been working and what we've been doing, go ahead and check out the playlist for Inside Unreal. It's been exciting. I remember thinking about Aaron Sims Creative when we had them on, and also relating back to sort of how some film studios are considering producing video games. In fact, when I asked that question for Aaron Sims, he said that yes, they are in fact exploring the possibility of also creating video game based off of the movies that they are creating using Unreal Engine, which I find super exciting to see what comes out of that. Teams that are specialized in sort of movie VFX now actually entering the industry of creating video games. Amanda, you touched on this sort of as well, sort of how industries are now just crossing paths, and these channels are opening up, and it allows us to just share knowledge and experience and see, how the industry at large can grow, or all of our industries at large can grow out of that. Super exciting. I do want to go ahead and play at Unreal Fest Online 2020. We debuted the Unreal for All Creators video, which is a really cool masterpiece. We also had them on the live stream talking about how it was produced. Can we please play the video?
Creativity lies in all of us. It's what makes us human. It starts with an idea, the desire to create, to solve, to play, to share, to interact. Together we can build new worlds. The freedom to create for all.
Beautiful little short promotional piece. If you are curious how it was developed, you can go ahead and check out the live stream we did with some of the creators. We also did an asset release for the project that was used in production for the Unreal for All Creators video.
Yeah, so if you go to unrealengine.com/creators, you'll be able to find those assets.
Awesome plug. Now, we also want to talk a little bit about the Epic Online Services. Tim, this is a big initiative for us. Would you like to mention what this is about?
Yeah, sure. Our way of doing things at Epic is to build games and build new technology to support the games, and then open up everything to other developers to use themselves. And one of the real success stories of Fortnite is the friend system. There have been more than 350 million players coming into Fortnite, and they've made more than 2 billion friends in the system. And so we've opened up all of these systems to other developers to use, so that their customers can come in, and you can have a cross-platform game where you have friends across all platforms. And when new players come in, if they've ever played Fortnite and have friends there, then they automatically have all of those friend relationships. Kind of providing the kind of functionality that's existed on Steam, Xbox Live, and PlayStation Network, but in a completely cross-platform way that plays really nicely with the consoles and their existing systems. And so that and a whole lot of other services are now available for free to all developers to use in their game. And we're making this free because we find that the benefit of having additional games adopt this and bring in their players and their friends, growing the social graph benefits all gamers and all game developers, including ourselves, so much that we felt we would grow it faster, and everybody would benefit more if we didn't charge money for it. And so the Epic Online Services Initiative is available to all developers to adopt for free, and lots of really interesting new features will be coming online over time. Anything that you've seen in Fortnite is likely coming to EOS over the next year.
The developer portal is available now. You can go ahead and download the SDK and implement it in your game. I have also seen a community-made plugin that exposes the entire API into Blueprints. If that's your
Nothing's gonna stop me. Hey, yeah. across the country, I finished the show and I hop in it. I got me a milli, I did it legitly. I'm still with the shit, I'm hot. Fly her across the country, I finished the show and I hop in it. I got me a milli, I did it legitly. I'm still with the shit, I'm hot.
Nothing's gonna stop me, feeling so right. Nothing's gonna stop me. Hey, yeah. Nothing's gonna stop me. Feeling so nothing's gonna stop me. Hey, yeah. Nothing's gonna stop me. Feeling so right. Nothing's gonna stop me. Hey, yeah. Nothing's gonna stop me. Feeling so, feeling so, feeling so, feeling so, feeling so, feeling so.
Fly her across the country, I finished the show and I hop in it. I got me a milli, I did it legitly. I'm still with the shit, I'm hot.
Of this effect straight from the Fortnite content. There you have it.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So now why don't we go and show kind of another kind of big part of the tool set, which is essentially, I think there's another video for us actually. So, you see some new buttons in the toolbar. One of them is upload project. And that will actually take the content that we just created. The other part of what we're doing is actually leveraging connections, so we allow you to make live edits quickly and easily. And we support things right now like translation, notation, but we really want to expand that over time. And I think one of the most powerful things that we found, developing creative, is just how powerful quick iteration, faster iteration is. Some of the things you can do with creative, like being able to do that with a full raw tool set is frankly amazing.
Oh, not to nerd out, but just the ability to be able to make edits like that on the fly that people could actually see live in game. That might be the most exciting aspect for me.
Oh yeah. And the thing is, it's one of the things that maybe doesn't show off well on video, but I 100% agree. Like, this is the thing that I geek out on all the time, for sure. So one cool thing, just FYI, is that we kind of wanted to prove out yeah, again, we really wanted to show everything end to end and thought that was really powerful. So we do know that this is kind of only one part of the tool set, right? This is content. And another thing that's really important is code. So we are working on tools for that as well. And we wanted to give you a quick early glimpse of that, of a new scripting language we're developing, which Epic engineer Tim Telton is about to show us. So why don't we cue that video?
Hello. I was part of the team that helped launch Fortnite Creative. Since then, the community's done some amazing things, and we want to give them even more tools to help build fun and engaging experiences inside of Fortnite. Let me walk you through an early prototype of one of these new tools, a game script used to implement Box Fight. We start the script by waiting for players to join. As you can see, some commands take time to complete, and the game continues on as this script waits for an event. Once players have joined, we start our game by setting the player's spawn points and inventory. To change things up, we use the current round variable inside this method to set up a different inventory in some of the rounds. Next, we make players invulnerable and start the round countdown timer. Partway through the countdown, we enable building so people can get ready to play. And we enable multiple round end conditions. Either one player can remain, or 0, or the round will time out. Returning to our game script, once the end conditions are met, we display a round end message. Then we disable combat and the storm. And then we reset everything for the next round and run the same script again. We can also tweak a few small changes to the player inventory items in script between rounds, like adding impulse grenades or clingers. Very small changes can have a dramatic impact on gameplay. This is a very early prototype, and we still have a lot of work ahead of us. But we're looking forward to what our creators will be able to do with much more powerful tools. Look forward to more details as we continue development in 2021.
Awesome. Well, we're super excited to bring this to community. In terms of time frame, we're not sure. Probably sometime in 2021. And just like we're seeing here, I think we'll want to iterate with the community and kind of get something out early as we can. But we'll see. We'll take things one step at a time.
And the goal here is really to bring in more of the Unreal Engine authorship tools that we use here at Epic. I mean, obviously, you can already place objects in your Fortnite creative scenes. A lot of those types of things like move, rotate, scale, those have been there. Yep. But we want to give you access to your particle authoring tools or your material editor and things that we use to bring the game to life so that you can start making even more customized experiences yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Like unlocking those tools in a way that you can leverage in creative. Like there's some really powerful things there that we want to explore.
Yeah, it's really awesome work. Congratulations, folks. And
Nothing's
Can you mod in any platform? And if so, do you need a third-party app?
So the 100% the goal is just like everything in Fortnite Creative inside of Fortnite, that everything you create works on every platform and you can publish and see it live on every platform, which is why it was important to even demo version of Windows and console together, just to show that. The third-party tool is the Unreal Engine. So it'll be a flavor of Unreal Engine for sure with custom things for our toolset, like we saw you will be able to use, external third-party tools like Maya and Max.
This is also the next question. HMW asks, will you be able to import custom assets like models into the game?
So toolset, yes, absolutely. I think we still have to figure out moderation, getting, what that looks like for sure. So we're a little thoughtful there. But it's super powerful to be able to import your own assets and create content and create things that doesn't look like Fortnite and support that. So.
Okay, and remember, Fortnite is going to be moving to Unreal Engine 5 in 2021, and so a lot of these Unreal Engine 5 features you've seen demonstrated on the high end will become possible in this environment, and they'll create a really interesting a combination of Fortnite visual style plus the option of having completely photorealistic content in creator worlds as well.
And all of those things that we were talking about to make it easier to bring things in without worrying as much about optimization, it all applies here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think, that is one of the things that we're kind of working through. It's like taking some of those tool sets and workflows and figuring out the best manifestation of that for the tool set, without sacrificing the tools and the power, but, figuring out how to automatically optimize. Like, those are all things that we're kind of taking into account as we iterate through everything that we're going to be doing over the next 6 months to a year.
Moving back to a couple of the questions we received earlier in the stream here in regards to UE5, Captain Gravyboat asked, which platforms will Nanite and Lumen support, and how will the tech scale to lower-end platforms?
So the next generation, I guess they're current generation consoles now, I guess we could call them, is definitely supported, as well as high-end PC. I don't think we know yet as far as how low it will scale, so I don't have anything to report there, but it will definitely be supporting in its highest fidelity there, and then we're going to have technology to make it so that the assets that were imported for that quality level can be shipped across the full scale of platforms that UE5 supports.
Right, so you build your high-end movie quality content once, and players will see that directly on these high-end devices, and then everywhere else it will be scaled down, but it will still work.
Exactly.
At a lower level of visual quality without the micro polygon geometry.
Moving on, Voxelize asked, Lumen video shows mostly diffuse bounce light. Is multiple bounces supported for specular as well?
Multiple bounces is supported by Lumen. The specular side of things is currently in rapid development. Multiple bounces will be supported by specular, but that doesn't mean they'll necessarily be full caustic bounces. So if you could see multiple bounces after the first bounce, it might be fairly diffuse for the rest of the bounces, but it won't just be like a complete loss of energy after it hits the first thing, if that makes sense.
Misanthrope asked, will Nanite work with VR?
Yes. There's aspects of VR support. It probably won't be there in the very first version that we release. The early access version that we mentioned will be out at the beginning of next year, but it will be supported eventually by the time that we're ready for the full UE5 release.
And then I think we had one more. The Autumn asked, when will we see DLSS and ray trace global illumination from emissive materials added to the engine?
DLSS and ray trace global illumination already shipped in Fortnite, I believe. As far as bounces from emissive, I'm not sure the answer to that.
Moving on then a little bit, we had a couple of questions in regards to virtual production as well. Jemerson Art asked, have you looked at the methods being explored by companies like Corridor Digital regarding connecting their camera systems in via LiveLink, and how you deal with those large data streams, including motion capture and facial capture as well? Non-LED screens, but still fast responsiveness.
I don't have a particular answer for that one in terms of virtual production, but I do know that we're always working on latency, and we've been tracking that down for a while, and it's always improving in terms of cameras. And so I think overall speeding up our systems are one of the core things that we're always working on, because we like to have quick feedback when we're on stage for everybody that's there.
Received another question here in regards to Lumen and Nanite. Loresh asked, will Lumen and Nanite work at all with forward rendering or MSAA?
Nanite will not be supporting MSAA. Lumen doesn't necessarily have a particular care in that. What was the other part? The forward rendering. I'm not sure whether that is currently working, but there's no limitation there as far as us making that work if it's not currently working. So yeah, we can support forward rendering with Nanite. I'm not sure the answer for Lumen, but I suspect the answer for Lumen is no for forward rendering, because I expect that Lumen is going to want to do its various bounces in multiple passes in a deferred nature. So I expect it's going to need to have the G buffer to be able to do that. And forward rendering won't be providing that. But I'm not the expert on the Lumen system to give a definitive answer there. But I would predict the answer is no on the Lumen side.
Moving back a little bit to the Fortnite Creative announcement, what sort of scripting language did you demonstrate in Fortnite Creative today?
Well, it's a new one, and it's been in development, and the ideas have been brewing within Epic for quite a while. We'll have a lot more to say about it in 2021, but I think you'll find it interesting. There are some ideas there which are fairly new to programming languages, which make development, and particularly game development, easier than it's typically been in dealing with complex interactions between objects. So stay tuned for details later.
And what does this mean for existing Unreal Engine developers?
Well, so when we build something at Epic, we try to make it available to all of our licensees, and we're building a lot of these tools in Fortnite, in Fortnite first, and so the scripting effort is being nurtured within Fortnite, and we expect it will come into the Unreal Engine later on after it's really been proven out there. And similarly, a lot of the tools that we've demonstrated here, such as live editing, where you can edit a level in the editor on PC and see it deploy in real time to all of these other platforms. These technology pieces are some are available to licensees now, and some are coming in the next version of Unreal Engine 4, and will be in part of Unreal Engine 5 from the beginning.
How closely do the new Fortnite Creative tools resemble the vanilla Unreal Editor?
I mean, what you saw was essentially what we're using internally now for our development. So pretty close. What the final version of it looks in terms of skinning or the title or anything, we'll see. But we absolutely want to keep it as close to one-to-one as possible.
And that was the actual material editor, and that was Niagara that we looked at.
Yeah, right. In the same, actually the same editor that we used to build the content that we shipped with, in game.
So on that note, if you are excited about the new Fortnite Creative tools, you can start using them. Some of those tools already in Unreal Engine right now. You can go download 426. It's available in the launcher. See, moving back to some of our virtual production technology, Marco Mello asked, how much can your virtual set technology evolve? I've noticed the current sets are incredibly cylindrical. Is there any way to reformat these designs for further immersion?
I'm guessing he's talking about the LED walls, and that's an area I'm not familiar with in terms of future technology of that. That'd be, maybe we can answer that in the chat later.
Let's see. Kupinator asked, what is being put in place to prevent the higher graphical fidelity needs of ArchViz and virtual production from impacting the performance of Unreal Engine in mobile and other low-end devices? Is performance on low-end devices still a priority for Unreal Engine?
Yeah, I mean, I believe that we're always looking at that. It's very important because we, you know, in some cases we do use lower end devices for some of our workflows. And so I think it's always very important for us to keep that in mind. And having been developed for many years, like one of the things I really like about this engine is it is very, it considers those type of things, and you know, helps with our workflows quite a bit. So I would expect,
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge for sure, to cover the just like extremely wide range of scalability that Unreal has to cover, from going all the way up to needs that people have for just like offline rendering, all the way down to it needs to run fast on a phone. Like that scale is huge. But those are things that we consider with every decision that we make, of how can we encapsulate things, how can we isolate them, such that we can not be constrained to be able to push forward the one end of the spectrum without pulling up the other end of the spectrum too much. There's times at which we need to cut off things at the lower end of, you know, very old APIs and old pieces of hardware and things like that. Like there is a march of progress that happens at times, but we certainly can't just like lop off the whole bottom half of our support range just because we want to add some extra little slice at the top. It's something we're always cognizant of.
Going back to Fortnite Creative and some of the new tools that have been shown, we've seen some folk ask in chat, I spent a bunch of time learning the creative tool set. Will I have to relearn everything? And then maybe a follow-up question would be, what's a good way to learn the Unreal Engine workflows?
So the answer to the first question, I think, is absolutely not. Like we mentioned, we view them as complementary. You know, like there's real power to being able to sit on a couch and have a controller and create things with your friends and, you know, see it live on screen. Like, you know, that's some of the power that we're trying to unlock in the editor. But there's a real power to doing that on console. So absolutely not. We view this as things that are complementary. And who knows, maybe you can build things in Fortnite in sort of a tool set and bring in creative, or vice versa. There's lots of things that we'd love to you know, iterate and experiment with.